Eastern Province. You're much welcome to your committee. Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members of Parliament. Once again, good afternoon, our permanent witness. Senanga Council, you're most welcome. My name is Honorable Kapamba Mlenga, Member of Parliament for the good people of Kariushi on the Copper Belt.
Thank you very much. Council Secretary, my name is Mulunda Darius, Member of Parliament for Siavunga constituency, and I'm the chairperson for this committee, the Committee on Local Government Accounts, the committee appearing before this afternoon. Under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, Council Secretary, members of Parliament enjoy the immunity in the House, that whatever they say cannot be used against them. Equally, the same immunity is extended to you when you appear before any parliamentary committee, that whatever is said during our interaction will not be used against you. However, if you choose to mislead this committee, the same Cap 12 will be used against you. But I have no doubt that you wouldn't do that, and that you are going to give us factual information this afternoon, the useful information that we use to write a good report, the report that we submit before Honorable Madam Speaker in the main House. With that said, I will now invite you, Council Secretary, to make your submission. But just before you do that, Mr. Lukonga Musika, Musiwa, are you putting on a tie? You are improperly before this committee, before this House. You are improperly dressed. If you check around, you see all, even permanent witnesses, everybody is in a tie. Is it your first time to come before Parliament or a committee? Yeah, the Council. Council Secretary, can proceed. You should have guided your member. Next time we wouldn't allow him to sit, but we do not have time. Please. Yes, go with local government. Follow your father. Just go out like that. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I apologize for the improper dressing of my officer.
Please.
I think it was partly anxiety in appearing before a committee. Mr. Chairman, to the original report that we submitted, there is an addendum.
I have seen it. We have seen it.
Therefore, on a matter that has got an addendum, I'll be reading both the main report and the addendum. Having said that, we may now go to page 1 of the main report. I'll read the caption, then go to management responses.
Please go ahead.
On page 1, on specific audit findings, community projects, construction of a 1x3 CRB at Skabuli Primary School, Sivukali Primary School. Management response, cause of the query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that during the period under review, the Department of Engineering faced a challenge in that it was incapacitated by the departure of both the Director of Works and the Deputy. This led to the contract management difficulties by the Council, resulting in poor monitoring and supervision of the contractor on site. Further, the lack of capacity in the contractor to work under minimum supervision led to delays in the execution of works. The contract was then terminated on 22nd December 2022 and awarded to another contractor. Action taken. At this point, Chair, I would like to take you now to the addendum. Management terminated the contracts with NAPO on 22nd December 2022 and awarded Maev General Dealers on 22nd March 2023. However, Maevma did not mobilize on site despite the warning issued to him on 22nd May 2023. This contract was then terminated on 5th July 2023. The contract was then offered to a new contractor, Kurana General Dealers, on 7th November 2023. Chair, the works have since advanced, and the works are on metalworks and ironmongering. The contract has since been extended to 10th March 2024 on the request of the contractor, citing transport challenges. You may see pictures below in appendix in the addendum, and also appendix A of the addendum. Then also appendix 1 of the main report refers. Moving on, Chair, is the completion of Namkokoba Rural Health Posts. Management response. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that during the period under review, the Department of Engineering faced a challenge in that it was incapacitated by the departure of both the Director of Works and the Deputy, which led to contract management difficulties by the Council, resulting in poor monitoring and supervision of the contractor on site. The challenges of the contractor to work under minimum supervision also led to further delays of the works. The Council terminated this contract on 12th December 2022. Action taken. The Council wishes to report that the remaining works have since been completed using force accounting method, as pictured below in the main report. In addition to this, Chair, I refer you to the addendum report on page 2. The facility, which is the rural health post, has since been handed over to the user department for the purpose of staffing and use. The district health office held a community engagement meeting on 20th February 2024 in order to come up with the neighborhood health committees, NHCs. Refer to the pictures in the addendum report, Chair, on page 2. The next query, Chair, is on bursaries, secondary school and skills development, pupils on irregular dual sponsorship. That is page 5 of the main report. Management response, cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's observations and wish to submit that the decision to pay was based on the recommendations from the Ward Development Committees for applicants of the secondary school bursaries. Action taken. Management has written to the school authority to refund the amount spent on dual sponsored pupils in the sum of 18,000 kwacha. As a remedial measure, Chair, the Council will ensure that all schools with approved bursaries sponsored pupils and students are written to for them to declare status on sponsorship for all approved pupils and students for CDF bursaries support prior to funds being dispersed. Kindly refer to Appendix 3. Then I now take you to the addendum report on page 2. The additional information, Chair, is that the 18,000 kwacha has since been refunded to Senanga Central Constituency Development Fund account. See Appendix B of the addendum report. The next query is on soft loans, failure to provide documentation, loan applicants. Management response, cause of query. Management wishes to acknowledge the auditor's findings and submit that at the time of the audit, the files of records of all applicants and loan beneficiaries were still with the financial institution, Zanaco, on the assumption that following the successful disbursement of the loans, the documents would be sent back to the local authority. However, at the time of audit, these documents had not yet been returned. Action taken. Management has written to the financial institution to return the copies of the records of all loan beneficiaries. The financial institution has since returned copies of the records of all loan beneficiaries are now under the custody of the local authority. Remedial measures. Management will endeavor to ensure that prior to submissions of loan application documents for the bank's recommendations, copies of the same records is returned and safely secured. We've attached Appendix 4 to that effect. Moving on, Chair, we go to grants under empowerment. The query: underfunding of women empowerment groups. Management response: cause of query. The Constituency Development Fund Committee recommended less amount than applied for based on the recommendations from the Technical Appraisal Committee on the size and type of the ventures applied for. Action taken: management carried out a monitoring and evaluation of the beneficiaries of the grants to assess the utilization and application of the grants. To this effect, we've attached Appendix 5. Remedial measures: the Council will endeavor to ensure that funding of grants to groups or cooperatives matches with the needs of the undertakings proposed by the applicants. This will be by way of continue subjecting all the applications to Technical Appraisal Committee for advice to the CDFC in order to arrive at an appropriate funding to applicants to successfully undertake proposed business ventures. Chair, we move on now to Part 3 of the Auditor's Report, Other Cross-Cutting Matters, Appendices. Appendix 1, Budget Performance. In the main report, Chair, we've attached a slide because the table is too long to fit in a landscape. It only shows all the tables as captured by the auditor. Mr. Chairman, we've provided additional information in the addendum, which is going to give you the correct position, as the one on page 10 on action taken had an error on the table attached. I therefore take you to page 3 of the addendum report. The interest of 33,334 and not at 3,014 kwacha was earned on a revolving fund account as at 31st December 2022 and was not remitted to Ministry of Finance and National Planning, since this was for the benefit of the community. The funds of 10,314,649 kwacha 47 ngwe was received in the fourth quarter of 2022 and spent in the following year, 2023. That is the cause of the query, Chair. Action taken: the motor vehicles were delivered to the local authority and Zambia Police Service respectively, and necessary journal entries were effected in our books of accounts. Management has since spent a total of 11,166,614 kwacha 54 ngwe on all CDF community projects, leaving a balance of 6,427,520 kwacha 6,427,525 kwacha is at 31st December 2023. The table that follows, Chair, shows the summary of expenditure according to each CDF component. As a remedial measure, Mr. Chairman, management will ensure to implement all the CDF budget is approved and timely. The next concern or query is Appendix 2, failure to spend. Management response, cause of query. The award of contracts and subsequent commencement of works delayed due to delay in issuance of CDF guidelines and the lengthy approval process of draft contracts, that is on financial and legal, by the Ministries of Finance and National Planning and Justice respectively. Action taken: the Ministry of Local Government has since decentralized the approval process to the provincial level, and the financial clearance of draft contracts has been delegated to the Director of Finance at the local authorities by the Secretary to the Treasury as per circular MF-OAG-64/9/2. Remedial measures: following the decentralization of the CDF projects approval to the province and the delegation of financial clearance to the Director of Finance at the local authority will endeavor to ensure that the implementation of CDF projects is done timely. Mr. Chairman, I now take you to the addendum of the table. The table in the main report shows all the projects from 2018 to 2022. In our addendum, we've given further information concentrating on the projects in 2022, showing the contract sum, the amount paid, the balance, and the percentage in terms of performance. Moving on, Mr. Chairman, we now go to the next concern, which is Appendix 4, Secondary School and Skills Development, Unspent Funds. Cause of query. The local authority did not spend as per allocation of 4,490,583 due to low response from learners upon realizing that funds meant for the bursaries are to be paid directly to training institutions. Action taken. Management requested to vary an amount of 1,918,500 kwacha from secondary school and skills development component to youth and women empowerment. The authority was granted to the local authority. The balance of 875,865 kwacha 8 ingwe was utilized in the year 2023 on secondary and skills bursaries. See table below. The table being referred to, Chair, is the corrected table in the addendum report on page 6. Remedial measures. The local authority will continue to sensitize the general public about CDF programs in order to receive positive responses and total access by the general public to available funding for secondary and skills development and skills bursaries from CDF. Moving on, Chair, we go to Appendix 9.2, Bursary, Secondary School Boarding and Skills Development dash failure to report. Management response. Cause of query. Management wishes to state that 64 students abandoned skills training immediately after realizing that funds meant for bursaries were to be paid directly to the training institutions. Action taken. Management, with the assistance of WDCs, civic leaders, and district administration office, have engaged potential beneficiaries on the importance of youth skills development being facilitated through the CDF secondary school and skills development bursaries. Management further engaged the training institutions to refund the said funds on students who abandoned the skills training. Remedial measures. Management will continue to sensitize through the WDCs, civic leaders, and all other stakeholders, the general public, and in particular the youths, to acquire skills training through CDF bursaries. To that effect, we've attached Appendix 6 in the main report. Mr. Chairman, submitted for the consideration of your committee. Signed, myself.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mwanza, one question, please.
Thank you, Chair. Okay. Page 6 of your addendum. Of course, I was looking at the old report, but page 6 of your addendum.
Members, page 6 of the addendum. Yes.
The table, empowerment grants. Empowerment grants, the budgeted allocation is 1,956,233. Your expenditure is almost close to twice the budgeted amount. Where do we have any evidence of application of variation of funds to fund this component?
Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have evidence for the variation of the said amount.
Do you have the variation?
Yes.
The variation.
Yes, there was a variation. Authority was sought to vary funds from skills and bursaries to the empowerment components, and authority is there.
Have you attached it? Is it attached? members of the management, you should know if it's attached, you should know it's attached. Don't leave it to the council secretary.
Chair, it is not attached, but we do have it with us here. Apologies that it was not attached.
Send it over. Okay. Another question, honorable members, or else we are checking on. Yes, honorable Manza.
I take you to page 1.
Page 1.
The community project for 1x3 classroom block, Siukali Primary School. My first question is this the same contractor? Is this the same contractor who was also engaged to do the rural health post?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's the same contractor.
It's the same contractor, and there were the same problems, like non-performance of the same contractor. And he was awarded these projects. I think the other one was just a week after, or something like this. The reasons we are attributing to non-performance is that this contractor was due to lack of capacity to work with minimum supervision. CS, you are aware at the bid evaluation when you are awarding contracts that that is a major requirement to award a contractor a contract. He has to show capacity he needs to show that he has a capacity to deliver. How was this contractor awarded 2 jobs in the same constituency? At the same time, you are acknowledging that he did not have the capacity.
Council Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair, during the evaluation, in most cases, evaluation is mainly document-based. Sometimes the real performance is seen on the ground. The unfortunate part is that NAPO was awarded 2 contracts in that year, and I think we have learned as a district to limit the number of contracts awarded to contractors. The situation is that they are having challenges to work simultaneously, because in most cases they will have one team. So they'd want to concentrate on one area before they shift to the other. That has led to most of the contracts delaying. But as a management, I think we've noted, and going forward, Mr. Chairman, there will be restrictions to how many contracts to be allocated. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Nyambose.
Just on the same, Chair. When we talk about capacity, it is defined as such. So what was the rationale of awarding someone 2 contracts if he satisfied this your council or the process? Why did he fail to live up to the expectation? And at which point did management notice that he was failing? If he at all your team was monitoring the progress in these 2 projects.
Council Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, at the point of awarding, it is evaluated and dissatisfied the process, and hence he was awarded. Now, you will note that in my submissions, I stated that as an institution, our engineering department suffered setbacks. We lost both the Director of Works resigned and the Deputy. This proved a challenge in terms of monitoring. However, that aspect was sorted out by the Commission engaging new engineers. Now, even with that, the contractor on his own was concentrating only in one area because he was maintaining one workforce between the 2 contracts. So that is where the challenges came through. Maybe the engineer may add something.
Director Engineering. Yes, Director Engineering.
Yes, thank you for that, Council Secretary.
I think, like he has mentioned, at the time that these projects were actually running, the challenge was that even myself was not available. But we ended up finding, I mean, after we started the inspections, that's when we started issuing out warning letters to the contractor to ensure that he mobilizes to site. And after we noticed that that was still unresponsive, that's when we ended up terminating his contract in December. And both of them were terminated at almost the same time.
Thank you. Brett, questions, honorable members? Yes, Honorable Nyambose.
Yes, Council Secretary and dear Director Engineering, when you say two contracts were running side by side or concurrently, then you later say that he was maintaining one labor force. Would you call that all the contracts were moving at the same pace? And as Director Engineering, what was the advice? Because this contractor did its own timelines and this other contractor did its own timelines. And you saw that he was concentrating on one. What came to your management and what advice? At which point did you advise so that the contracts were being fulfilled according to the signed documents?
Director Engineering.
Thank you very much again for the question. Like I mentioned, after we observed some of these anomalies, warnings were written to the contractor. We issued out a warning for him to mobilize at the site that we found that his workmanship was not present. And we told him to mobilize as quickly as possible. It was only after the following site visit that we discovered again he was not on site, and even on the other one there was still sluggish approach to work. That is when we ended up having to terminate the contract for such.
Honorable Mwene.
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, I've gone to Appendix 9. I've seen some of the projects have been completed. Unfortunately, I haven't seen any of the completion certificate. Is it possible that you can kindly guide us to where the completion certificates may be?
Sorry, Chair, Appendix what?
9. Appendix 9.
No. Appendix 5 is where you are showing some of the projects.
Completed projects.
Is it? Okay, in simple terms, yes. In 2022, some of the projects have been completed. Do you have completion certificates for the completed projects for 2022? I submit, Chair.
Do you have the certificates? Do you have the certificates?
Mr. Chairman, we have some of them, not all of them.
Why?
With us.
Why do you have some and not all of them?
Mr. Chairman, the concentration was as raised by the auditor, but we do have some of them, and we can make the others available from the office.
Council Secretary, we want you to make those certificates available to Secretariat, and make sure that you put your house in order. We have seen that the administrative cost is gone, but most of the projects, the workmanship is poor, and they are not monitored according to what we are reading here, unless you have your own. But what we have read, yes, that there is poor supervision on the works, on the projects. We want you to make sure that that one is done properly, the supervision. Even if you have run out of the funds, you must find money to monitor this, because when you appear next month, we will not be kind to you, because your report is not good, actually. It's not good because most of the projects are not done properly. Just like if we wanted to interrogate more, you said you concentrated on one project, him said we are running it concurrently, and things like that. And maybe that is the cause of poor workmanship. We want you to put your house in order. We appreciate your appearance this afternoon. At this point, let me remove the immunity that was conferred on you. And We wish you well as you go back to Senang. Thank you very much.
Thank you.